Hey guys, Boostmaster here. So a lot of you guys have been commenting about how you guys love how my chest cam footage is so smooth, or how I got this Narwhal Mount angle for some of the videos that you've seen previously. So I'm going to show you guys how I set up my chest cam and my helmet cam mounts, as well as this Narwhal mount, as well as a few other interesting angles that you guys can try out on your mountain bike. Okay, so for my helmet, I think the side view is really good, solid view. I got a nice sticky mount right on the side there. I think it works perfectly, and I also want it to be as low as possible so that I could still give a chance of seeing like my arms and my handlebars in the shots. Alright, so what I use is this regular flat mount with one of the longer kind of arms along with one of those shorter arms so that it can stick on like this. Here's what it looks like with the actual camera on it, so that it nicely sticks into my helmet like. So what I find that you generally want is to have the camera pointing in the same kind of direction that the visor is pointing at. So have it kind of parallel with the top of the visor. That's generally a good angle to have your camera pointing at if you're at the side of the helmet like this. Now, there's something important that I want you to see with what I do with these arms. You'll notice I scratched a line through both of these arms in the right position that they are in, so that I always know where to go again, so that I always get the exact same kind of angle here. So you just use a knife to just scratch through them. So you can see them on the front there, the same little scratches. And you can see I also did it there on the camera itself, so that there's always a way to know how to get the exact same angle again all the time. Another important thing to know is that after I hand tighten them as tight as I can with my hands, I actually use something like a wrench or maybe even a screwdriver for those screws. So after I have finished tightening it with my hands, I then use this and I tighten it even more, maybe about another half a turn. So that's as tight as it can go. Grab this, tighten it more, and that way it's like not gonna move. I give it a good like maybe half tighten more, maybe 3/4 of a turn more with the wrench. So that way it's gonna be really solid. It's not gonna go anywhere, even if you accidentally like hit it with your hand or something. It's just gonna stay still. You'll need a little more force to like actually move it, but otherwise with those little lines that we etched into the arms there, you'll always know where to bring it back if it's ever off the angle. Okay, so now let's take a look at the Narwhal mount. I used this mount in only a few videos of mine, but you guys seemed to think it was pretty cool. I wanted to kind of know behind the scenes how I actually set up that mount, set up the angle, kind of how it all looks like. So here's a look at what it actually is. This is the view. So I bought the GoPro extension arm mount from GoPro is the company name. They're just two, I think they're 8-inch long plastic arms. They're pretty good. There is a little bit of bounce to it, as you can see. It's not like the most sturdy thing in the entire world, but it's actually pretty good. I'm actually quite happy with how it is, the steadiness of it, the sturdiness of it. So one thing I wanted to show you is that with this particular setup, it actually can't bend any farther down because the plastic is basically hitting the plastic. The plastic of the arm is hitting the plastic of the flat kind of clip-in mount. So that's actually a really good thing. It means it can't go down any farther than it actually already is. As you can see, I just put another curved mount onto the top of the helmet there. You'll probably also want to put one of those white rubber things in there too, which I didn't actually put in for this shot. I want to show you another really cool thing about these extension arms here by GoPro, is that they've got these 3 little notches here. There is a little bit of movement within the notch, so they're not perfect, but much better than not having them at all. So there's the middle, and there's the upper notch, the lower notch. That way it greatly reduces the amount of movement, the amount of flexing that it can possibly do. This is the lowest that it can go, and the only movement that there's really going to be is just flexing. There's not going to be any permanent movement. Now they've actually got these 2 holes in these ones. That's so that if you don't want to make use of that little notch, you can use the other hole that is farther to the right. So that way it's not going to be, that way you can do whatever kind of angle you possibly want. But the downside, of course, is you can't get that sturdiness. So I definitely use that inside hole so that you can use the notch. So here's with it down to that lower notch. I definitely don't recommend that. It's actually like right in your face and it looks terrible. So I would not ever use that. I tried it out at first just practicing and I realized no, that's a terrible angle. Don't ever use that. So again, like I told you about, I put another mark in there, just on that one end there, just so that I always get the same angle all the time. I just had to do a little bit of testing first to figure out exactly what the right angle will be. Do some testing using the GoPro app to really see the good angle, right? And just put a mark in there to always make sure that I always use the same angle every single time I use it next. And as always, I use either these pliers, wrench, or a screwdriver to really tighten it, clamp on it, tighten it, and then really tighten it really good so that it will not move, because that's the worst thing, is when your GoPro angle moves while you're riding. So as you can see, it is pretty sturdy. Here I am just kind of wiggling it around a bit. You can just see kind of how much it moves. I don't think it's too bad. I'm pretty satisfied with how sturdy it is, although it would be kind of nice to have it a little bit farther out from my helmet, just so I could see even more of my handlebars and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good angle, so that's how I have this one set up. Alright, let's talk about chest cam angles now. I love the chest cam. Chest cam is one of like my favorite things to use, and I think lots of people love the chest cam. I do not have one of those gimbals. I am intending on getting one for the GoPro. I'm just going to show you kind of how I set up my camera, because a lot of you comment saying how like it's quite steady and you're impressed with how good my chest cam footage looks. So I'm just going to explain here kind of how I actually set up my chest cam and what angle the camera is at. So as you can see, my chest cam, it is pretty tight. So when it's unclipped, it really just like holds to the side, because it is pretty tight, and it's high up, as you can see, because it has to be, because that's how it keeps it like the most stable, is when it's like really tight and like high up on your chest. It just like hugs you really good, and that's the way that it's gonna be giving you the most stable kind of footage that you can get. So I just want you to see like how tight these straps really are. They're definitely on the tighter end of things. You want to make sure that they are pretty evenly tightened with the other one on the other side, so that they've got the same amount of distance between each one, so that way it's not going to be like, the camera's not going to be lopsided or anything, so it's going to be just kind of level. And then you can see I got those little markings. I actually got a few markings on there, because sometimes I'm like testing it out and then I realize no, the first marking's wrong, so then I kind of redo it again, make better markings. So you'll see a few different markings on the camera there. And yeah, another thing, you have to have the camera upside down and use the J-hook like this. It's the best way of doing it. So then that way you can point it upwards and up, because it has to be pointed upwards. Otherwise you're just going to be looking at your bike the whole time. If you want a good idea of what the angle actually is, with it kind of flat down, that's kind of what it is. Just so you can kind of see the angle and sort of compare it to your own camera. That's basically how it is. But I can't guarantee that my angle would work for you. We all have different stances, you know. We're at different heights, so my angle might not be the right angle for you. Alright, so there's a few other cool little mounts. Like there's this roll bar mount. I barely ever use this, but you can get some pretty cool angles, like you've seen in a few of my videos, like my bike check video. But I'm just going to show you what kind of angles you can use with this. I don't find these to be the greatest mounts, really. They're just not the most sturdy. They can't stay as tight as well as you may hope, but here's one example of one way you could use this mount. Something like this could be really cool. Focuses right on the rear shock. I think that's actually a really cool angle. I've done that in my bike check video recently. So another really cool angle is clamping it right to like the actual like kind of seat post of the frame itself, or maybe on the seat post itself, and then looking backwards at the tire. And then you just need to make sure that the seat is high enough so that you're not, so that the camera can be looking upwards. You just need to make sure though that you're not going to be hitting the camera with the tire when you compress your suspension, because I've actually done that when I was filming for my bike check video, where I would have the camera upside down. It would be up here, but the camera would be upside down, and I thought that it would be clear, but no, when you like almost bottom out with the rear suspension, it hit the lens, so that's no good. So have it upright like this. It'll be different for different bikes, of course, but for this bike it works quite well, just like this. You have to tighten it really good because these mounts aren't that great. Another cool shot is to have this thing in the same place where you angled it, looking at the rear shock, but then instead upright, so that you can actually look forward, and then you can see these front fork as you're going, and you can look forward, and this can actually be a pretty cool angle as well. You really gotta tighten these really good. GoPro released some better bar mounts that are definitely better than this, so I recommend getting those. I actually plan on getting some of those newer, better bar mounts, because yeah, these ones are just a little too flimsy. They're not the greatest, but they released some better ones. The goal is you want the camera to basically be pointing perfectly straight. That's what you want to do. Don't line it up with the frame or nothing. Just point it perfectly straight, as if the bike is level, have the camera pointing straight, and then that's a good angle. And you can basically see the trail in front of you, as well as the fork compressing, which is kind of cool. It's just a cool, interesting little angle for you guys to use if you want to try it out. I don't use it very much, but it's just kind of a cool angle once in a while. Alright, I hope you guys found this video useful and helpful. I would appreciate it if you could just give a comment or a like and subscribe. It definitely helps out my channel. So let me know what you guys think. Any other cool mounts that you guys think would be interesting. Let me know in the comments what other kind of mounts you think would be really cool to try out for mountain biking, or what you think I should try out for mountain biking. So if you liked the video, give a like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. I got lots of mountain bike videos I'm always making, and I do plan on making a few more of these kind of tutorial videos, as well as an actual very in-depth GoPro tutorial video for you guys pretty soon, and I'm really excited about that, so stay tuned.